Welcome. In this video, where we're going to implement the great DPM-Solver. So in our latest video, we had a look at diffusion models on a way to make them faster. For example, the latest video was about implementing the DDIM paper from scratch. In this video, we're going to look at the DPM-Solver. It's one of the most commonly used. In the paper, they have some comparison to DDIM. On this dataset, you can see that DPM is doing much better than DDIM. Using a fewer function evaluation. In our video, these are the results we'll get by the end of this video. So these are, in one of our previous video, we implemented DDPM from scratch. These were the results we got after training the model on this dataset. For each of those samples, it required 1000 function evaluation to get a result. But now with that solver, it only requires 20 function evaluation, and we get about the same quality. So basically we get the same quality, but we require 50 times less compute, which is very important. Okay, so let's dive into the implementation. As always, we're going to focus on the code, not on the theory so much. If you're interested in me doing a theoretical analysis of this paper, let me know and I will be happy to do it. Okay, so let's dive in. As always, we are using PyTorch. Let's implement the diffusion model class. We store t, so basically the number of time steps used during training. A common value is 1000. The function approximator, here we're using a CNN-based unit, the one from the DDPM paper, on the device on which everything should happen, training, sampling, on which is the model. Okay, then we can store the variable related to the variance schedule, so beta, alpha, and alpha bar. And then here we can introduce two variables that are only needed for the DPM solver. They're not always needed. In the general case for diffusion model, it really depends on which solver you are using. So in this case, we need the square root of alpha bar, and we need sigma, which is the square root of 1 minus alpha bar. Okay, so now that it's done, we can also store those variables lambdas. They are also related to the DPM solver. So basically the DPM solver is all about solving the integral, doing a change of variable. So basically going from x to lambda. So basically every compute lambda is a function of the square root of alpha bar and of sigma. And we're going to use that later on. Okay, so basically here, for the sake of consistency, I'm implementing this training API and also this sampling API. So basically, these are the functions from the DDPM implementation. Basically these functions are coming from this code. The link will be in the description. I would invite you to have a look at the video about implementing DDPM from scratch if you haven't seen it. Basically these functions, the training and the sampling function, were the function from this code. And here we're adding a new function to this code, so that we can sample from it in a much more in a faster way. Okay, so let's go back to the code. So with this sampling function, with this API, so taking as input the number of samples, number of image channel. Here we're doing a minutes dataset, so only one channel image, grayscale images, the image size, and if we should use TQDM, so if we should show a progress bar or no. But basically now we're going to implement the DPM solver sampling. And what we are going to do is to stick to this API so that we can easily switch from one solver to another one. Here we need to add an extra parameter, number of steps for this solver. And by default, we're going to use 10 steps. So by default, sampling uses big T. So if T is equal to 1000, sampling is doing 1000 function evaluation. Here by default, we're doing only 10, so 100 times fewer. Okay, so basically, once this is done, we can start the implementation. There are different algorithms in the paper. Here we're focusing on the second algorithm. So basically, this one, and we are going to do an implementation by following very closely the pseudocode, so that the code is very easy to understand. Okay, so what we do, we compute the step size. So as a function of the number of steps, let's say we want to sample only 10 steps on big T, then we compute the time t at which we'll sample So, well, all the step size. So basically, let's say that, yeah, n steps is equal to 10, big T is equal to 1000, then step size is equal to 100. As in the pseudocode, we sample the initial value that will iteratively denoise. When we start at T0, it's just random noise. So we sample from the Gaussian distribution. And we set xTile is equal to xt. Okay. Now we iterate for the number of time steps. We add this TQDM wrapper just to see the progress bar in the terminal. And we, based on the argument from the user, we either show this progress bar or no. Okay, so we compute the previous time step. So based on the step size, on I, so the current iteration, we compute the current time step. So basically, yeah, t on t minus 1. Again, because DPM-Solver is all based on a change of variable, so basically we compute the midpoint in lambda space. So we compute lambda well, basically, yeah, we take the midpoint between lambda at t on t minus 1. And then we want to invert lambda. So basically that's what this notation implies in this pseudocode. Once we've computed lambda, the middle point in lambda space, we go back from lambda to t, okay? So basically we need to find, with a new value of lambda, we need to check in our list of lambdas which one is the closest, and then we do an argmin so that we know where this lambda is. Because basically this midpoint, it's a continuous value. It can be any value. We want to see which lambda is the closest to this midpoint, and then we do an argmin to find Si, so the index of t related to this lambda. So basically, in a way, we compute lambda, and then we invert it back in a discretized way. Yeah, so basically we find the index of t related to this midpoint lambda. Okay, then we compute the step size in the lambda space. So again, we take a look at lambda at t on t minus 1. We take the difference. And then we can compute this variable ui. So basically, yeah, quite complex formula. Here we're not going to focus on the maths, just focus on the implementation. There is this variable tpref tensor. Basically, we need to for computing UI, we'll need to call the function approximator at tpref t minus 1. But basically, for now, tpref is a scalar. It's an int, but we want to transform that to a PyTorch tensor, and that's why we're using the function torch.full. Once we've computed UI, we can compute xTiled ti. So basically, it's a combination between xTiled and between the function approximator evaluated at UI, and that's why we needed compute UI. So basically, then we can just transfer the pseudocode into code or the maths into code and compute xTiled, and then we're done. After iteratively refining xTiled, we can return it after a few iterations. And basically we're done. We've done most of the work. Then we can implement the main function. So we can load the diffusion model that has been trained already without focusing on the DPM-Solver. At the time of training, the DPM-Solver was not invented yet. So that's the strength of all those solvers. You train them in an agnostic way without thinking about the solver, but then you can use them later as a plug and play. Okay, so basically I reload my diffusion, I reload my model, my function approximator. I create my diffusion model, and then I can sample from my DPM-Solver. I'm doing only 10 steps, but in each step I'm doing 2 function approximation. So basically in total I'm doing 20 function approximation. I'm querying my neural network 20 times. And if I wanted to just use the sampling function instead of the DPM-Solver sampling, because we're using the same APY, it will be very easy to just here change this line of code, and I will be sampling from the model without the sampler. Basically, once I have my sample, I can just plot them in a grid using matplotlib. So that's all for this video. I really hope you like it. I have a lot of great implementations coming up about reinforcement learning, diffusion models. Maybe I will start to do a bit of NLP. So yeah, please leave the thumbs up if this video was helpful to you, subscribe, and see you in the next video.